Hi, and welcome to the Simple Weight Loss Podcast. I'm Christina, qualified nutritionist, food coach, and mum of two. If you're a busy mum who wants straightforward, no-nonsense weight loss advice without all the complicated science talk, or you just want to learn more about health and nutrition in a way that's easy to understand, then you're in the right place. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Simple Weight Loss Podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about something that is probably a pain point for a lot of women, and it comes up almost every single time I talk to women about their health goals, and that is belly fat, specifically wanting to lose it and feeling frustrated that it just won't go away no matter what you do. This is possibly the number one area that women want to lose fat from, and it's not something you can just get rid of with a bunch of crunches. So today I want to give you the bigger picture of why we hold fat there, why it's so hard to shift, and what's actually worth your time when it comes to trying to get rid of it, and what's just going to be a waste of your time as well. So let's get into it. All right, first things first, if you are prone to carrying fat around your belly, a lot of this comes down to biology and hormones. The thing about estrogen is that it's actually really helpful when it comes to where your body stores fat. During your reproductive years, estrogen kind of steers fat towards your hips, thighs, and butt. And that's why a lot of women have more of a pear shape when they're younger. Your body does this somewhat intentionally. So those fat stores are actually tied to reproductive health and energy reserves. But then when estrogen starts to drop, especially in perimenopause and menopause, that changes. And the body changes its preferred storage location to your abdomen or your belly. So women who never really carried weight in their belly before suddenly are, and it can feel like it came out of nowhere because, well, it kind of did come out of nowhere. Then there's cortisol, which is your stress hormone. This one's kind of a big deal. So the belly area is really sensitive to cortisol. Fat cells in the abdomen have more cortisol receptors than fat cells anywhere else in the body. So when you're really stressed, like a lot of people are these days, your body is just more likely to load up fat on your belly instead of anywhere else. And when I say stress, I'm not just talking about emotional stress. I mean things like not sleeping enough, under eating, over exercising, or just being in a constant state of go. All of that has an impact. And then there's insulin sensitivity. So when your cells start to become resistant to insulin, which can happen from eating a high sugar diet, not sleeping well, not moving enough, or just being really stressed, your body starts to store more fat viscerally, which is the deep belly fat. And I'll get to that in a second. But the point here is that there are real physiological reasons why your body holds onto fat in this area. And another important fact is that having some fat in your lower belly area is completely normal, biologically normal. That area is protecting your reproductive organs. And women were never meant to have perfectly flat stomachs with visible abs year round. It's just not how we were made. So that little pooch that so many women like obsess over getting rid of, that's completely normal. And that's just your body doing its job and trying to look after you. I think we've been so conditioned by influencers to think that anything other than a completely flat toned stomach is a problem that needs fixing. But it's just not the reality for most women. I know it's definitely not reality for me. And it's not what a healthy female body is supposed to look like all the time either. So some fat in that area is protective, it's functional, and it's just a normal part of having a female body. So if your goal is to reduce belly fat for health reasons, as in reducing visceral fat or feeling more comfortable, that's completely fine. But if your goal is to look like you have zero body fat in that area ever, that's really not necessary and probably a bit unrealistic as well. Now, I mentioned visceral fat before. So another thing worth knowing is that there are two types of fats and they behave very differently. So the first one is subcutaneous fat, and that's just the fat that's right under your skin. It's the fat that you can grab. From a health point of view, it's pretty harmless and it's more of a cosmetic thing. If it's a concern for you, it's just cosmetic. But the bad part is it's really stubborn. It just hangs around and it doesn't want to go anywhere. The second type is visceral fat. And this one is the one that can be more of an issue because it's a fat that's deeper inside and it's wrapped around your organs. You can't see it or feel it from the outside, but It's metabolically active in a way that's not great. It's linked to inflammation, insulin resistance, higher cardiovascular risk, and a bunch of other things that you don't want. But the good news is that visceral fat actually responds faster to any lifestyle changes that you make. It starts to move a lot quicker on the inside than the outside. So if you make improvements to your diet, your sleep, you exercise more, the deeper, more dangerous fat will start to move first, even if you're not seeing dramatic changes on the outside yet. Progress is going to be happening before you can see it externally. This is another reason why I say to give these lifestyle changes time. I have a whole episode on it, episode 1. So go back and listen to that if you haven't already. Okay, so now let's talk about why it's so hard to lose. The first thing to understand is that you can't spot reduce fat, unfortunately. It would be great if you could, but it's just not possible. Your body decides where to pull fat from based on your genetics, your hormones, your blood flow, and not on which muscles you happen to work that day. You don't get a say in where it drops off from first. And for most women, the belly is one of the last places that your body releases fat from. The areas where your body stored fat last tend to be the places it holds on to longest. So if your body started storing fat there later in life, like after a hormonal shift, it might be one of the more stubborn areas. That's just how it works, and it has nothing to do with how hard you might be trying. Another big one is that eating too little can actually make it worse. So if you're trying to lose fat, but you're running on 1,000 calories a day and wondering why nothing's moving, this could be why. When you undereat, your cortisol goes up, your muscle mass goes down, your metabolism slows down, and your body becomes more efficient at holding on to fat, particularly belly fat, which is exactly what we don't want. So make sure you're eating enough, and enough of the right things, more importantly. Then there's sleep. Can't really talk about belly fat without talking about sleep. Even just a few nights of poor sleep raises your cortisol, and it increases your hunger hormones. It makes you crave carbs and, in particular, comfort foods, and it promotes fat storage around your belly. A lot of women end up trying to out-train or out-diet what is actually a sleep problem, but it's just not possible to do. It could even be a combination of these problems. One more thing I want to mention for the women who track their progress really closely is that your belly can look and feel really different depending on where you are in your cycle. So bloating, water retention, progesterone fluctuations, all of that affects how you look and feel in that area every week. So if you are checking in the mirror every day and feeling like nothing's happening, make sure you factor that in, because you might be making real progress, but it just happens to be temporarily hidden. I don't know if you're someone who needs to hear this, but stop with the excessive crunches and sit ups and planks or whatever it might be. Working your core is great. It's great for posture, stability, back health, general athletic performance. I'm not telling you to never do a plank again, but if your goal is to reduce belly fat, then doing 200 crunches a day is not going to do anything. I don't care how many fitness influencers have told you that their flat stomach is thanks to their 15-minute ab routine. It's just not true. The idea that working a specific muscle burns fat from the area has been studied and debunked repeatedly. Doing ab exercises is going to strengthen and build the muscle that sits underneath the fat layer. It's not going to remove the fat layer. That fat on top doesn't care what muscles you're using. It pulls fat from wherever it decides based on everything else we just talked about. So you could have really impressive core muscles that are just completely hidden. The work is happening, but it's just not visible if there's fat covering it. And the other thing, ab-focused workouts don't really burn many calories compared to like a full body strength session or even a long walk. The calorie burn is really low. So if you're spending your workout time doing endless ab circuits, there's probably going to be a better use of that energy. So definitely train your core, but do it because it makes your body function better. Don't do it expecting it to flatten your stomach. So now you're probably asking, well, what is going to get rid of the fat? Number one, strength training. This one is very important for women who are trying to change their body composition. Building muscle increases your metabolic rate, which means you burn more calories even when you're doing absolutely nothing. It also improves your insulin sensitivity. It changes how your body looks even when your weight stays the same. And research has consistently shown that women who lift weights lose more visceral fat than women who only do cardio. So that alone is a really good reason to do strength training. If you're not already lifting, that's one change you can make right now that's going to make a really big difference. Number two is a sustainable calorie deficit. emphasis on sustainable. You do need to be in a deficit to lose fat, but keyword is sustainable. Crash dieting and extreme restriction are just going to spike cortisol. It's going to cause muscle loss and make your belly fat even more stubborn over time. So I'm just talking about like a modest deficit, something you can actually maintain. This is going to get you much further than going through restriction and binge eating cycles. Number 3, protein. I know I talk about protein a lot, but for good reason. A high protein diet is going to help you preserve muscle when you're in a deficit. It's going to keep you feeling full, and protein actually burns more calories to digest than carbs or fat. Most women are under eating protein. They may not realize it, especially when they're trying to eat healthy, because their diet ends up being mostly plants, grains, and salads without much of a protein base. Number 4, manage your cortisol. So this might sound a bit vague, but it's important for belly fat specifically. So this means prioritizing rest days, not doing high intensity exercise 6 or 7 days a week, actually sleeping, finding ways to decompress, and just not living in a constant state of stress or urgency. So for some women, doing less ends up being the missing piece to their fat loss puzzle. Your body will start to change just from dialing down the intensity and letting your nervous system recover. Next one is sleep. I know I talk about sleep a lot as well, but I will keep saying it. 7 to 9 hours is the goal. This one isn't optional if body composition is your goal. It affects your hunger hormones, your cortisol, your food choices, your energy for exercise, everything. So definitely get enough sleep. Then there's ultra processed foods and added sugar. This is something we want to try and reduce. So not eliminating it, but reducing it. These foods spike insulin, they drive visceral fat accumulation, and they tend to be really easy to overeat as well. So you don't have to be perfect with it. It's okay to enjoy these foods on occasion, but this one's worth paying attention to if belly fat is a specific concern for you. And finally, walking. Walking is really underrated. It lowers your cortisol, it's sustainable, it burns fat, it's easy to do here and there throughout the day without it feeling like a punishment or a full-on workout. So just start by parking further away from where you need to be, taking the stairs, even just getting out for 15 or 20 minutes after lunch or dinner instead of just sitting down again. So walking every day can make a really big difference over time. So the belly is usually the last place to change and the first place we start obsessing over when we put on a bit of fat. But I think understanding the biology of what's going on underneath makes it feel a little bit less like we're failing. I just want to say again, because I think it's important, if you do have that little pooch that most women hate, it's normal. So try not to stress about that. This isn't a problem that needs to be fixed if that's what you're trying to achieve. The goal here isn't to look like a fitness model who's been dehydrated for 3 days before a photo shoot. The goal is to feel good, to be healthy, and to have a body that's actually going to work well for you. And the things that actually work, they're not fancy. So there's no detox tea out there that's going to magically get rid of your fat. There's no special ab routine that's going to do the job either. It's strength training, eating enough protein, sleeping well, managing your stress, being in a sustainable deficit, and time. Definitely give it time. These are all the things that are going to work for you. If you do need help in this area, make sure you check out my ultimate weight loss guide. I'll put a link in the notes, but it's got everything you need to lose fat, to keep it off. And it's also got heaps of delicious recipes. So check it out. But that's all from me today. Thanks so much for listening. And I hope this helped in some way. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And I would love it if you could leave me a review so I can reach even more people. See you next time.